Hey everyone, long time no see. This week we will be typing Rosamund, and let's see.
I was jumping on this plane to go and meet this man I've honestly wanted to work with for so many years, and having a shot at it, it's an amazing feeling.
Had you read the book before all of this began, or?
I didn't know it. No, I'd had my first baby, right after the book came out, so I didn't.
You were a little busy.
I was a little busy.
She didn't
you
consume.
Sort of go
Okay.
You don't know anything about what's happening in popular culture.
So once you got to know Amy a little bit, was it intimidating? Was it exciting? What was because...
Okay, this is a decider question. I will pay attention to both if she's going to answer in a way that is decidery. I was nervous and she was nervous and I told this and she told this. And also, is this going to be a sensory report, like exactly what happened in that exact date, or is it going to be an overview?
She certainly is a lightning rod for people already.
Yeah, I relish that. I relish the chance to play a woman who doesn't conform to any ideals, who is complicated and
identity
confounding, and you can't get a read on her.
Identity again.
And she doesn't have to be admirable, and yet you do admire her. Don't feel too bad about yourself. There will be people who admire her. And that'll sort of disturb them, perhaps, that they have moments of identification. Well, I mean, I had moments of identification, and I'm comfortable with that, because I think there are difficult characters, and we are all more difficult than we like to care to admit.
Okay. This was such a decider answer. We are all complicated. You are complicated. Sometimes I identified myself as Amy, and you can't get a read on her. This is her identity, and I'm difficult. Everybody is difficult, more than they admit. This is more like a decider, more on the decider side so far.
And it's just about what finally manifests in your core personality is just to do with the blows life throws at you, really. I feel we're all capable of pretty alarming things, given
Again,
so was part of
we are capable of a lot of things if we are given the opportunities. We talk, and so far she doesn't hesitate to talk. Us question: can you just create the lines, if I'm understanding correctly, or are you following the script? Let's see if she is going to fall for that question.
Is each scene as its own thing, or?
I think with Amy, she's there's never she's never a resting soul. She's never someone who just is authentically herself. She's not.
Okay.
Carrie Coon.
Oh God, decider conversations are actually weird. She is talking about Amy, who is a fictional character, like a real human, which is interesting, and it's quite interesting wording. She's like never resting soul. It's her emotional state, not necessarily she tries to make things correct. So far, so I'm leaning towards Effie, but I also want to watch other interviews too. So let's see this one.
No reason to live. I mean, it was a very, very daunting thing to take on. Largely because, in looking for answers, I drew on many, many sources of people for whom such a tragedy was real. People who've lost multiple members of their family in one tragic accident, and their experiences as they're written about or talked about are so raw. I thought,
okay, she talked to people. She pulled the tribe to actually feel the pain of someone who lost everyone that they loved. And what's interesting is she's giving the exact sensory. I talked to people who lost so many people, so many loved ones in one accident. So very specific, oddly specific.
Well, I have to do justice to their experience, otherwise this is just a total fraud.
Yeah, I have to do justice to their experience, otherwise it's a fraud. Again, identity, tribe will see me as fraud. I have to do justice to them. I have to convey their pain so raw that they don't think that I'm fraud. Very interesting.
I would also imagine people who have not just lost family members or loved ones in tragedy, but those who also then had to come to a term, some sort of forgiveness afterwards. Forgive the perpetrator or someone else, sort of overcome some form of hate that was instilled in them after that loss.
I think that's really true. And I think, that one of the things I learnt playing Rosalie is that she's burnt up with a hatred which
Feelings.
she finds overpowering, overwhelming, and yet she realises that there's no answer to it. If the people who killed her family die, that doesn't bring them back. And so in a way, it's a journey into an acceptance that life can go on, life will be forever changed, but there is a new life. There has to be hope. Films have to deal in hope, I think. Ultimately, there has to be a vision where... And it's an ambivalent hope that our film puts across. I mean, even our ending, we were talking about it last night, is not, it's certainly not joyful. It's full of question.
Okay. This is more like a feelings, and this is more we talk, and DE plus F is Effie, so I think I'm gonna skip that one. And I think she's a decider, like Effie at the top, probably. Let's watch this one, if she is actually Effie or not.
I haven't been nervous sitting here, and then we play that, and somewhere in my body I go back to the feelings that I inhabited playing Marie at that time in her life. And actually she was in Homs. They understood that a big assault was coming, and it was necessitous to leave. They were halfway down this storm drain, this 4-kilometre storm drain.
She's giving the exact SI line by line what has happened, and it is quite boring. She's giving a sensory report, not an overview. She's saying exactly what has happened in the scene, which you don't have to explain it if people watched it.
Was taken by the FSA fighters, and she was sort of halfway down or a few hundred metres down it, and she said, I've got to go back. There are 28,000 people there, and I can't abandon them. And Paul said to her, you realise if we go back, we will die. And she said, I have to go back. This is what we do. This is what we do. And she went back, and he, of course, followed her because he wasn't going to leave her. And he told me, actually, that they... I find this very emotional, so forgive me. But he said that they both felt very strongly that they might not make the deadline for the Sunday Times that week, and that was her decision. That motivated her decision to ask Sean Ryan if she could broadcast with CNN and Channel 4 and wherever, BBC.
And she called me.
She spoke to you.
She called me, and I said, and I was furious with her.
Two SIs just having
go back, and she said,
having the time of their life. Let's watch this one a bit.
It's sort of procedural, and it's this idea of the missing wife, and it must be the husband because we've seen that so many times, and you're watching these two characters and all the other surrounding characters, and then suddenly it gets towards the end of the movie, and you start thinking, well, actually, hang on, this is sort of about me and people I know, and it's not sort of them anymore. It turns into a satire in that respect.
And this is again the cider conversation. It is you and it is me. Wait, it is not the husband, it's the wife. Okay.
How versed were you in David's films and Fincher's films before this one? I'm sure you had seen many of them. Did you know what to expect?
I don't know if I knew what to expect from I remember having a conversation with Jake Gyllenhaal years ago while he was shooting Zodiac and hearing about the sort of intensity.
Okay. She is being asked intuition question. Could you guess what was going to happen with this director? And what does she do? She goes to back and explaining her SI story. So, yeah, I think I'm done here. Like, it's already been 11 minutes. I think she's a decider, and she is Effie because a lot of we talk and a lot of emotions. She's not scared to cry in camera, whereas Demon Filler would be very, very embarrassed by that. Yeah, I think double feminine, FESI, but when it comes to her animal stack, I think she is play last because there is no ping back from other people. There is no play energy in her. She doesn't really do anything in the moment let's create some random things. So I think Annie would be the hardest thing for her. If she's playlast, she would be double activated on masculine TI, so she would still know her identity more or less, but Annie would be the hardest thing. That's it for this week, guys. Bye bye.